The sharp smack of skin against skin cut through the quiet diner, louder than the clatter of cutlery or the soft murmur of voices. Sunlight filtered in through the blinds, leaving striped shadows across the red vinyl booths as startled gasps swept the room. An elderly woman, silver hair neatly tied back, stood tall despite the sting burning on her cheek. There was a strength in her posture, the quiet dignity of someone who had survived life's battles and carried her scars with pride. Yet in that instant, she was made the target of cruelty she neither invited nor deserved. The man who had dared strike her smirked with a false sense of power, certain he could degrade her without consequence. What he didn't know was that fate had already drawn a line, one he was about to regret crossing. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in defending what's right even when it's hard, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support helps us spread moments that prove compassion still has the power to change the world. Her name was Evelyn Carter, a 71-year-old retired nurse who had given most of her life to caring for others. Every Sunday after church, she came to this diner, choosing the same corner booth, ordering her black coffee and a slice of apple pie. It was her small ritual, her way of celebrating life despite all she had endured. She had buried her husband years earlier, raising her only child alone. Mother and father in one. Through long nights of double shifts, through tears she never let her son see, Evelyn taught him resilience, faith, and honor. That boy grew into a man of unwavering character. The world might not know his full story, but Evelyn did. For the man now stepping quietly into the diner's doorway, unnoticed by the bully, was her son, Marcus Carter, the newly appointed head of Homeland Security. The bully's name was Rick Lawson, a man sored by anger and bad choices. Life had been harsh, but instead of growing wiser, he allowed pain to fester into poison. He and his two buddies had barged in, rowdy and mocking anyone who dared look at them. When Evelyn calmly asked them to lower their voices so others could enjoy their meals, Rick felt his pride wounded. His fragile ego pushed him to teach her a lesson. So he struck her, never imagining the storm about to crash down on him. The diner froze. A young waiter stood rooted in place. A blonde woman gripped her glass with trembling hands, and the men at the counter turned in stunned silence. Evelyn didn't flinch. She held her ground, hands folded, eyes steady, though her cheek burned. She had endured worse. Racism in the hospitals where she worked tirelessly, disrespect from those she still chose to help, heartbreak, and solitude. But never had she been humiliated in public like this. She whispered a prayer for patience, unaware that her prayer had already been answered. The diner's glass door swung open. Sunlight framed a tall figure in a navy suit. Marcus Carter entered with the calm authority of a man who had walked the corridors of power, negotiated with generals, and faced crises that shook nations. His eyes locked immediately on his mother, standing strong yet wounded, while a stranger loomed over her. For a split second, Marcus was that little boy again, remembering sleepless nights when his mother worked herself ragged just to put food on the table. He felt the weight of every insult she endured, every sacrifice she made, and in that instant, Rick Lawson had unknowingly picked a fight with the son of the woman he had just tried to break. The diner seemed to hold its breath. Rick, still puffed with false bravado, glanced Marcus's way and dismissed him as another man in a suit. But as Marcus walked closer, the room's air shifted. Fear gave way to an unmistakable sense of reckoning. Rick's smirk faltered, his friends stepped back, realizing too late the danger they had invited. Evelyn's gaze softened at the sight of her son. She didn't need to move. He already understood every line of pain on her face. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His presence alone commanded silence. He looked at Rick with eyes that carried decades of discipline, sacrifice, and strength. Stepping forward, his shadow fell across the men. The entire diner leaned in, hearts pounding, knowing something unforgettable was about to unfold. Rick tried to speak, but his voice cracked. He had spent a lifetime picking on the vulnerable. For the first time, he realized he'd chosen the wrong target. Marcus leaned closer, his words deliberate and sharp. Words that carried the weight of authority and finality. Though the diners didn't know his official title, they understood one thing clearly. Rick Lawson had crossed a line that could not be excused. Rick's friends yanked him backward, muttering excuses as they rushed for the door, desperate to escape before things spiraled. The silence that followed was heavy, but charged with something else: relief, admiration, and a renewed sense of justice. Evelyn exhaled, her son's hand resting gently on her shoulder, reminding her she was not alone. For a moment, they simply stood together, bound not just by blood, but by a lifetime of battles survived side by side. Around them, the diner began to stir. Whispers of courage and respect spread. A few people wiped away tears, others smiled faintly, grateful to witness a moment where love and justice silenced cruelty. The blonde woman whispered softly. She raised a man who protects the entire country. And in that single sentence, Evelyn's life was honored. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the silent strength of those who sacrifice for others, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. With your support, stories of dignity, courage, and compassion can reach more hearts. Before you go, I ask one special thing. Comment below. Strength runs in silence. If Evelyn's courage touched your soul today,